Hello! Been a while since I've been on a stream. Alright. Well, welcome everyone. It has been quite a while since I've been on stream, and it has actually been, as of tomorrow, it will have been 3 weeks since I was at Carowinds. But I still remember it pretty well, so we'll do the full discussion now. I would have done it right when I got back, but the internet where I was staying was not very good, so I couldn't. And so we're doing it now. I probably should have done it last week, but who cares? We're doing it now. So we will have a Discord discussion later on in the stream, so be sure to join for that. Also, you're welcome, everyone who's watching from like the UK and the rest of Europe. I know you've wanted me to do a stream at some point where it's not the middle of the night for you, so you're welcome. Let's get started. So I have a few questions that people have sent in that no one really paid attention to this, but I'll just answer these first, and then you guys can ask more questions in the chat. So first of all, did you hear any GP quotes? First of all, they're already in the Discord, so I won't even. Well, you know what? Well, I don't think I'll be able to find them very easily, so we'll get to those in a little bit. Favorite coaster besides Fury? Probably unpopular. Potentially. I know a lot of people don't like it. I really liked Intimidator. Honestly, the airtime in that first half before the mid-course was amazing. Seriously, way better than Diamondback. So, we'll have a full discussion on that. Oh, don't even say Nighthawk. Is Raptor still my favorite invert? Yes, it is. Afterburn was kind of a disappointment. It was a little. It was intense. It had its intense moments, but overall, it's not as good as Raptor. It was definitely very, very smooth though. Like way smoother than Banshee, because Banshee has a bad rattle. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about it. It's a little too short, and honestly, I'd probably like it better in Raptor if it didn't have that sort of reverse airtime hill sort of thing that you get over the lift hill. If it didn't have that, I think I would like it better. If it had like a 0G roll instead, I think I'd like it better in Raptor, because that sort of lets off from all the intensity. But it was all right. I don't think it deserves all the hype it gets, but it's still a good invert. Alright, was Nighthawk as bad as people say? Yes, it was. Oh my gosh. After being on Firehawk so many times, I expected, oh well, I don't think it'll be as bad as people say, but oh my gosh, it felt like it was shaking apart. It was so terrible. It was, seriously, it was the worst flying coaster probably in existence. I honestly felt scared that it was going to shake apart. And I'm not even GP. So it was not good. It looks nice, and it's over water, and that's sort of cool. It's my second least favorite coaster, period. Still not as bad as Rougarou, but still bad. Vekoma, yeah. So, did you think Fury 325 is overrated? No, I thought it was outstanding. So, Fury is my new number one. In fact, I have my top 10. I think it's listed in the Discord here as a pinned message. Maybe it's in the coaster one. But I have my top 10. It is my number one now. I don't think that surprises anyone. The first time I wrote it in the middle just because, it was shortest line. Of course, Discord's not loading now, so we're just going to ignore this. I wrote it in the middle because there's no line. And I got off and said, yeah, that was probably a little bit better than Maverick, which was at the time my number one. And I said, yeah, it's a little bit better. Got back on it and wrote it in the back row. And after that, after 3-4-ish rides in the back, I can now say it's my number one easily. I went into it expecting it to be more of a mix of like Millennium Force and Diamondback, but what it really is a mix of Millennium Force and Maverick. It's super intense, and the ejector airtime is outstanding. I expected it to all be floater airtime, and I was blown away by that. The only weak moment is there's that helix after it goes by the second entrance flyby. That helix there is kind of weak. It does have a good near miss with one of the supports, but other than that, it's just kind of pointless. And yes, I will get to Steel Vengeance talk in a moment, because Cedar Point right now is planned for a week after tomorrow. So Steel Vengeance will be coming up soon, and it's probably going to take the #1 spot. So we'll see. And no, I did not go into the water park, and we left before it got dark. So, is it your 325? Oh my gosh, you guys are never gonna let that die. Millennium Force is your favorite coaster. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so go ahead and leave your other comments, and I'll just start talking about everything that I experienced. So, I guess first big coaster I did there was Intimidator, and that blew me away. I was expecting, from what I heard, I expected it to be slightly worse than Diamondback, but after being on it, I can now say it's way, way better than Diamondback. You've butt dialed 911 on Flying Cobras. Yeah, that would suck. So, it was way, way, way better. I don't know why everyone complains about it. I mean, their trims are noticeable, but they don't really hurt the ride in any way. Like, you can feel them, but you still get great airtime. Yes, Intimidator is my #1 hypercoaster right now, and it is my... I need to look at my list. Hold on, I will pull it up for you guys on Google Drive, but you guys can't see that. And I guess it probably does affect it that I only rode Intimidator in the back row. Alright, so I'll go ahead and send this top 10 into the chat. There's my top 10. It kind of got jumbled up by formatting, but so #1 is here. Let me put it in the Discord just so we can all read it. So #1 is Fury, #2 is Maverick, #3 is Intimidator at Carowinds. Top 10 most dangerous roller coasters. Don't even start. And 4 is Diamondback, 5 Millennium. So that's how it goes now. I really enjoyed Intimidator a lot more than I expected I was going to. So definitely better than Diamondback. Yes, and I put Tennessee Tornado on there, 1 because it's an arrow, so and 2 because it's a really good ride. So best to worst at Carowinds, I'm assuming. Clarify if it's best to worst at Carowinds. And by the way, I did miss 2 credits. I missed Woodstock Express and I missed Wilderness Run. So I didn't get those 2, so I'm not going to comment about them. But I did get everything else at least once. Yes, Discord. Congratulations, whoever that was that posted that. You've gotten your meme on the stream. And we will go into the Discord discussion. I press F. My respects to the stream. No. Least favorite coaster, period. My least favorite coaster in general is still Rougarou. Like, by far. I'm going to ride it again. I really want to not hate it. Yeah, I missed Woodstock Express. What was worse, Nighthawk or Vortex? Nighthawk. I didn't think Vortex was that awful. The problem was there were a bunch of GP on it who kept slowing down the operations like crazy. Like, there would be probably half the train would get off because they were scared of it. And then all you have to do is just set that so, like, the bike seat thingy is low enough that it's not going to cause an issue. List from best to worst: Lightning Rod, Fury, Steel Vengeance, Maverick, Millennium Force, Thunderbird. That's a good list. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So basically, I didn't think that Vortex was that awful. I know a lot of people hate it. It's if you set the bike seat low enough, it's fine. You do get headbanging, and it's definitely not as good as any new B&M, but it's still a solid ride. I don't think they should put floorless trains on it because I don't think it would be very fun. It's not super fun as is. It really wouldn't be fun at all. I mean, it's not a very tall ride. It's an old B&M. If they're going to do anything, they should just tear it down. But I wouldn't mind them keeping it for now. But they definitely should tear down Nighthawk. Most overrated coaster I've ridden. I still think Millennium Force is really overrated. So Millennium Force. So Vortex equals Root 2.0. Nope, not as bad. There was definitely headbanging, but it was reasonable. Thoughts on Michigan's Adventure? It looks like an okay park. I'll probably go there someday. Yeah, so I guess what else to discuss here? So, I did Intimidator 3 times, I believe, all in the back row. Very good, very strong airtime. After that mid-course, it gets boring. It's just kind of dumb. It has just sort of a dumb helix with a on-ride photo, and that's it, more or less. So it could do without that, but the rest of the ride more than makes up for it. I was surprised because the drop on it is just, it feels like it lasts forever, which I was not expecting from a hypercoaster. Yes, I have been to Dollywood, but when I went, Lightning Rod was down. So that's why it's not on any of these lists. Michigan's Adventure is okay, but had terrible operations. Yeah, well, so did Carowinds. I'm sure all of you Carowinds people with Carowinds is your home park. You probably hate to hear that, but the operations were abysmal. I'm sure the 100 plus degree heat didn't help. I know World of Fun's not the biggest park, but do you think you'll ever visit? Yeah, I plan to visit as many Cedar Fair and Six Flags parks as I can at some point, but I don't think it's any time soon. Yeah, I noticed that they put the picture at the on the helix at Intimidator. A lot of rides do that. I think just Fury's makes sense where its photo is, but a lot of rides just do it in the middle of the end of the ride, the boring part. Yeah, so the only coaster I noticed, Intimidator's crew was getting the trains through pretty good, and Fury was doing really good for operations. Those were the only two that were really, really good operations-wise. But probably the worst operations of the day were Carolina Cyclone, which I got multiple rides on, and it is a good aero. Like, seriously, this is a good ride, all things considered, considering it's a 1980 aero custom looping coaster. You'd think, oh, well, it's probably not that great. But it actually was pretty good. It's not that rough. I mean, so in line for it, there was this GP kid, got in the back row, was terrified to ride it and stuff. So his mom's waiting over at the exit. And if you know, I don't know if there's any pictures on here of the station. Let me see if I can check that. But basically, the station on the left side, you can sort of see it here. Here's the exit ramp right here, and we're in line up here. I'm ready to get on the train after this one, and of course they're only running one train. That was another thing I noticed. They only were running one train on most of their rides, except for Nighthawk was running 2, Fury was running 2, Intimidator was running 2, and I think, and Ricochet was running multiple trains, obviously, but everything else was running one train ops, which was kind of disappointing, but whatever, it was a weekday. So Carolina Cyclone I was waiting for the next 2 trains. So this GP kid gets in the back row waiting to dispatch the train, and of course the operations aren't that great in the first place. So we're waiting, and so the kid decides, all right, I'm not going to ride this. He gets up, and as soon as he starts getting up, the mom rushes in from the exit, says, no, sit down. She sits back down, convinces him to ride, and then what does the mom do? She doesn't leave out the exit. No, she stands there, gets out her phone, starts taking pictures of the kid all strapped in, waiting. The ride ops are taking their sweet time going over to go check the restraints again. And of course, with these arrow loopers, when they have to undo one person's restraint, they kind of have to undo at least the whole car in the back. So it's not like a modern B&M where they can just do one row. So it's taking them more time. And so finally, the mom is still up there taking pictures. The ride ops are done. They're waiting. They're just staring at her. The whole station is staring at her. She's just sitting there taking pictures. So she just turns, looks at everyone waiting in line, and just puts her hands on her hips and just looks around. Doesn't really think much about what's happening. She's just gonna sit there. And then finally, the ride ops are like, "You have to leave, ma'am." And she's like, I'm sorry. And she slowly walks out, back to the exit. And then, of course, right when they're ready to dispatch, the kid decides he wants out again. So the ride ops have to undo the back car and then check all the restraints again. And then finally, after about 10 minutes, the train dispatches. And, of course, the lady's still waiting at the back of the line. And the funny thing is, after that train got back, she was trying to get back in through the exit with her son to get him back on the train, the next train. Seriously. Like, she couldn't wait in the whole line again. Like, I don't care if you want to wait in the whole line with him. That's fine. But you can't go back in through the exit. So that was the worst operations of the day. It was very frustrating. About 10-minute dispatch. And the whole station at the end was just screaming at her, just, "Lady, leave!" So, yeah, so, most intense ride, obviously Lucy's Krabby Cabby. Well, it's not Lucy's Krabby Cabby now, it's Wilderness Run. And I didn't ride it. So, that was the worst operations. But overall, the operations were really slow. Like on Vortex, I had some GP next to me. I was in the back row on a B&M stand-up, and this lady and her son, son that was way too small to ride. Like, they lowered the seat, the restraint all the way down, and it was still like an inch off the ground. And the mom was like, "No, you can do it." So about a minute or two later, they finally let him off. Like, the operations were slow, and I understand why it is with those types of trains. It's kind of stupid, like how B&M has it designed. You can't really pull down on those restraints yourself. I mean, I could because I'm about 150-ish pounds, so I could, but a lot of the GP can't. So yeah, they weren't exactly great. What do you think of the possibility of a Mac at Carowinds? I think it would be a good fit for the park, but I'm not super thrilled about seeing another Mack Rides coaster because those things sound like they're pretty forceless. So, we'll see. So yeah, that was the worst operations. I mean, it sucked because, oh yeah, they were running 2 trains on Vortex. That's the other one. So we were just waiting on the hot break run for about 5 minutes while they dispatched the other train. So it just kind of sucked. They weren't doing the greatest operations-wise. Another ride that actually really surprised me. Do you think Kiddo's Wonderland dive coaster will be a Giga? No, I don't think so, because it doesn't make any sense to do it. So a few rides that surprised me, like they were surprisingly good. One was Ricochet, which, honestly, I know it's kind of Carowinds meme coaster at this point. It is really fun. It's my favorite Wild Mouse, although I've only ridden one other. But this thing was forceful, man. You felt like you were flying over the sides. It was great. It's my favorite Wild Mouse for sure, and one of the better rides at Carowinds in general. So yeah, that's Ricochet. And then I was also really impressed with Hurler. I thought this thing was going to be rough, but it is my favorite non-GCI besides the Beast. Like, it's definitely better than the Racer and way better than what Mean Streak was. It was super, super glossy smooth. So I was really impressed with it. Face reveal will happen at 500 subs. So that's the deal. So yeah, Hurler was really, really impressive. I don't know why people hate it so much. I guess they hated the one at King's Dominion more, and I could see how if it was rough, why people would hate it. But it was a pretty impressive little ride. Really smooth. Real like honestly, just as smooth as Mystic Timbers. Thunderhead was rougher, so like it's really good. I mean, the only rough part was after the lift hill going towards the drop, the turn. Other than that, it was great. So I don't see why it gets so much hate. Um, and there was one other. Oh yeah, Carolina Gold Rusher. This is such a good little mine train. Seriously, it is so smooth. It's smoother than Adventure Express and Cedar Creek Mine Ride by far. Way smoother, especially like Adventure Express has gotten pretty jerky. This thing's super smooth. Transitions aren't that bad. I mean, it's really good, and it is very intense too. Like I was surprised. I expected like an Adventure Express sort of thing. No, it's way better. My favorite mine train now for sure. Really enjoyed it. It's real scenic too. You get good views of the other coasters in the park. I just have no complaints about it. Especially for how old it is. I mean, it really is good. So yeah, that's my most underrated. I did ride. Well, there's a few pieces of junk there. Obviously, we've already discussed one, which is Nighthawk, which is just awful. Honestly, they should just tear it down. There's nothing good about it. But another one that's just terrible is Kitty Hawk. And the funny thing about Kitty Hawk is even though they've repainted it and rethemed it, which RCDB doesn't show the new color scheme they got for it, the funny thing is they've rethemed it to Kitty Hawk. I don't know what year. It says here. In 2017. So last year it was Flying Ace Aerial Chase, but they rethemed it to Kitty Hawk this year. And so so we got in the station for it, and we just waited for the first row available. It may have been front row, actually. And I've been on Flying Ace Aerial Chase, and this was just as rough, maybe a little rougher. It's still super jerky. But the funny thing is, we sat down, and the audio went, "Welcome to the Flying Ace Aerial Chase." Like, seriously, Carowinds, you're that lazy, you're not going to change the station audio. Like, gosh, come on. So, welcome to the Flying Ace Aerial Chase, named Kitty Hawk, apparently. So, great job, Carowinds. So, yeah, it's a piece of garbage. They should, well, I don't know. It's a good family ride. It actually had a really long line at one point. I didn't wait in that, though. I waited till I had a walk on. But I got the credit, so I'm happy with that. What else? Oh, yeah. Flying Cobras, my first non-Invertigo model boomerang. And I must say it was a boomerang, I guess. It's my first boomerang, and the restraints, being the vest restraints, did help. But oops, I'm reading the chat. So the new restraints definitely did help. The vest restraints are better than just having a massive linebacker pads on, you know. But it was still kind of rough and jerky. You definitely did feel the forces on it. It felt a lot like Invertigo, to be honest. It was probably a little rougher than Invertigo, but it really didn't bother me. It was a little jerky coming out of the Cobra roll. But other than that, it was pretty reasonable. I guess a lot of people say it's better than most boomerangs, so we'll see. I'll hopefully get on more boomerangs at some point, but you know, maybe. It's cool because it was another Geauga Lake coaster, and I'm trying to ride as many of those as possible, so you know, another one to the list. But overall, it was just an okay ride. It gets a lot of GP excited for it. But they had kind of a weird loading station. They like don't let anyone go in the station until the ride's dispatched. Like they don't want more than 2 people per row at any point. It's kind of weird. So yeah, I guess that's the majority of the discussion. It was very hot that day. Going to Worlds of Fun to get a night ride on Prowler. Enjoy. It looks like a great ride. No, I've not been to Knott's Berry Farm. The only major parks I've been to is Cedar Point, Kings Island, Dollywood, and now Carowinds. But hopefully getting on more soon. Getting to more parks soon. Incredicoaster theme. I don't really care. I don't pay attention to Disney stuff. Coaster Studios parodies. They're good. They're good for getting GP to not be GP. SeaWorld bad. SeaWorld's not bad. Do you think you'd return to Carowinds? Probably. I mean, if they get this new Mac launch coaster, which everyone thinks is going to be a Mac launch coaster, but I don't remember who made a video on it. No one, it's not 100% confirmed yet, because there's a chance, I don't remember who made the video on it. There's a chance they used one of the Mac Rides boxes from Ricochet and placed it out in plain view just to fool us. So they may have done that. But I would like to go back, yeah, just to get more rides on Fury, honestly. So yeah, I would return to Carowinds. So I guess we can move on to the Discord now. So go ahead and get in there into the live channel, and we can have our coaster discussion there. So go ahead and join the live section on there. Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Hello.
I literally just got out of bed.
Slept in?
Yeah.
Alright. What do you think is the most underrated coaster? Underrated coaster at Carowinds? If it's at Carowinds, honestly, Hurler or Ricochet. They're both really underrated.
So, no.
I'm still answering questions from the chat, so sorry.
Yeah, it's alright.
Alright. Yeah, Intimidator is pretty underrated too, for sure. Also, anyone notice the change to the channel art? Fury's now on there, so Fury 325. So
I noticed that one. But yeah. You're behind the editing more, if you know, like it's hard to explain, but I kind of like how you're doing. Oh, didn't mean to click on that. Like how you're putting more into your videos than kind of just like I just kind of like it like that. I really think that you're improving in video quality.
I appreciate it. This is Mipo contacted you with a contract yet? No, they didn't like the GP remix. I'll do another one of those maybe if we find some more good quotes. And there will be a live debunked later in the week, probably Friday. So plan on that as usual. Get back into the schedule of Friday night every other Friday. So yeah, next video will be, I always do these next video announcements on here. It's going to be, what coaster track is that? Aerodynamics, baby. Everyone's requested that. I did a vote in the Discord, so.
Yeah.
And that's going to intertwine a lot with the Vekoma video, which I'll do next. But we hate Vekoma here, so we don't talk too much about them. Although I will say Carowinds has a lot of Vekomas. I was kind of surprised. And it was noticeable, because all they're not that great or really bad rides were Vekomas. Besides Vortex. Vortex was just kind of dumb, though. Like, Vortex, it's so dumb. I mean, honestly, it could have been a good ride, but it's like 90 feet tall. It's nothing. Like, even if they made it floorless, it wouldn't be a good ride. It would just be a pointless ride. Like, if you want a good ride coaster for getting like younger kids into roller coasters, you have Carolina Cyclone right next to it. Like, if you want to introduce them to inversions, then you have Carolina Cyclone right near it. This would just be Carolina Cyclone, but not as smooth and way less intense and less inversions. Just dumb and doesn't look as good either.
Yeah. Actually speaking about on that topic, um, you know those videos where like it's somebody's first time on a roller coaster?
Yeah,
Yeah. I absolutely like hate it whenever we're like doing it because I like it. It's like it's a good idea and I usually end up liking those videos to see their reaction. But I hate it whenever it's like something like um Goliath, let's say at no, not Goliath. I mean Titan at Six Flags Over Texas, like or something like that. Like you could have had so many other choices to be the
yeah.
first roller coaster. Also, that is an actual video.
Hello. Knock off Finfari. Yeah, so Vortex is interesting. I, uh, I mean, I'm glad I can say I wrote a stand up, and I don't think they should take it out. I think it's still a reasonable ride, so I'll say that. But B&M is definitely improved, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
first inversion, oh Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis. Oh man, I feel bad for you. That thing looks awful, and it's half a coma. That's why. We'll have a Vacoma debate later.
Hmm.
Your first inversion was on Carolina Cyclone. Yeah, well, it's a good ride. My first inversion, I think, was probably it would have to be Corkscrew Cedar Point, which is an underrated ride. It's very forceful, good airtime too. But it's kind of that airtime that it's not supposed to have airtime, but it still does. So it's good, but it's weird.
So, what was probably your favorite coaster there besides Fury?
I assume you mean besides Fury and Intimidator, because I guess you weren't here for the start of the stream, so I already answered it was Intimidator.
Yeah.
But after that, um, I'm gonna exclude their top three because I'd automatically say Afterburn after that. So excluding Afterburn, Fury, and Intimidator, my favorite was probably That's a good question. I mean, I liked Hurler. It was pretty good. It really wasn't rough at all. How do you join the talk? There's a link in the stream to the Discord. You can join that, and then you just have to click down at the bottom. There's a voice channel called Live. Goodbye, Austin, from the stream. All right. So yeah, sad I missed 2 kitty credits, but still. I did make Fury my 50th credit for all those asking. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. Maybe when I ride Rougarou again next week, I can say whether or not I hate Rougarou more than Nighthawk. But right now, it's still Rougarou. So that's how it stands at the moment. And I did ride a flat ride. What's it? Electro Spin? Yeah, and that's kind of a unique flat ride, at least to what I'm used to. And I really liked that thing. There was a lot of forces, really disorienting. It was good. It was a good ride, good flat ride. I hope more Cedar Fair parks get them.
Hmm.
So, any other questions or things to discuss?
Yeah, in your opinion, like, what's the best row on Fury 325? Like, would you prefer front or
Well,
back?
I never waited for front row, which I kind of wish I would have, but I was kind of on a time crunch, so I just went straight to back 4 times. And man, it is good in the back row. I wrote it in the middle and in the back, so basically I can speak the most for the back, and it is outstanding.
I've rode in the front and back. I don't know what I prefer. I think I prefer back more, but I like front too.
That airtime, I was expecting floater airtime just because of the fact that it's a B&M, but no, it is ejector, throwing you
Yeah.
out of your seat. On the subject of flat rides, do I think that Carowinds needs more flats? No, they're pretty good flat rides wise. I mean, I rode the Drop Tower, which I think is just called Drop Tower if I'm not wrong, which is a second generation Intamin drop tower, and that's my new favorite drop tower. Of course, I haven't done Kings Islands, but it definitely is better than Power Tower. So good drop tower, good flat rides in general. I also did
You've ever
the Sky
you've
Tower.
ever you've ever watched Coaster Studios, like
I
his channel?
yeah.
What do you think of the parodies?
Well, I mean that's kind of a broad question, but fine. They're pretty good at getting GP to watch coaster stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like my first channel that I watched whenever I was like half GP and half enthusiast was probably Coaster Studios.
yeah. When I like,
The only thing that sucked is some of the jokes in the parodies I didn't
Oh
understand.
yeah,
Like
I
for
know.
instance,
There's still jokes I don't get in the parodies, but you know,
I was
as you
like,
learn more, you laugh at the parodies more and more.
yeah,
when I
like for instance, in the Mystic Timbers parody, when they mentioned that the GP think that they were rebuilding Son of Beast, I thought Mystic Timbers replaced Son of Beast.
it's on the other side of the park from where Son of Beast used to be.
Yeah,
Speaking of Mystic Timbers, that ride's really moved up because when I rode it opening year, and I was not impressed. I thought it was one of the worst at Kings Island. It wasn't anything special, but after riding it this last time in last month, I guess it was really a good ride. I mean, so much airtime. It's probably I don't know if it's better than Banshee. It's
I
not the
just
best in the
thought
park. I think Beast is still a better ride overall, and I think Diamondback's still a better ride overall. It might be
I
better than Banshee though, just because it's way smoother.
Mystic
I
Timbers,
just
in my
I just
opinion,
thought of
Mystic Timbers, in my opinion, is pretty good, but I mean, it's not like the best, but it's got like really good airtime. Everyone said the shed disappointed, but I didn't really expect it because everyone was all like hyping it up, and I was just like, it probably might just be something lame like a TV or whatever, and then
Yeah,
that's what it was, a projection screen. So it
yeah.
wasn't that bad.
Costa Rica says, "Hello, I just started watching your channel not too long ago, and your vids are awesome. Thank you." All right, well, the stream's starting to wind down here, so we'll probably start to wrap it up. Some few more questions, and then we'll end this. So, do you think the Kings Island will get a Giga? Yes, I do. Someday. I really hope they do too.
Yeah.
I don't know when that will be, but I was really hoping next year, but I will have to wait a little longer.
At the earliest, I would say 2021.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'd like to say 2020 though, but
I think Cedar Point might either 2020 or 2021 might get a 500 footer, either like in the form of a polar coaster or somewhere else. Because last time I was there, I saw they removed the Extreme Bike Stadium, so they might have room for a polar coaster probably.
I don't think they could fit it in there. Knowing that space and how many times I've been to Cedar Point, that was kind of a small stadium, and how big
I
the
think the
polar
whole
coasters
polar
look.
coaster idea is dead anyway.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think there's gonna be a polar coaster.
yeah.
Not to mention, it wouldn't exactly be a great ride.
Yeah.
It would kind of just be boring because with the supposed Miami one in the animation, it's literally just the same thing over and over again.
More
Yeah.
of a GP bring in.
You see,
Just 'cause
everyone
the
in the
hype.
chat is saying Cedar Point needs a GCI. I don't think they'll get a GCI because Kings Island has a great GCI in the same state. Not to mention, all of the GP that go to Cedar Point are not going to go there for a new wooden coaster because in their minds, they just lost. They have a new wooden coaster. It's called
Yeah.
Steel
You know
Vengeance
what I
in their
you know what I
minds.
find
So,
you know what I find sad? You know what I find sad?
mhm.
That as soon as Steel Vengeance opened, everyone forgot about the other great coasters opening this year.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean,
Hang
yeah,
Time.
a lot of people are just immediately after Steel Vengeance opened already talking like, oh, Cedar Point's going to get a coaster 2019. No, they're not going to get a coaster 2019. It's just not going to happen, especially not a GCI. They, people were all excited because there were some tire tracks behind Mine Ride. Like, calm down, people. It's not a new coaster. They're not getting
not-
anything 2019, anything special.
It's
That-
not a new coaster. The tire tracks were probably from like a service road or something back
exactly,
there.
exactly.
But more important,
Well, also, it's a good thing
everybody
that Cedar
forgot.
Fair appears to be adding more to their smaller parks, especially with Dorney potentially getting a GCI, and I think that would be great for that park.
Yeah. I
th-
have
I think
yet
that's
to
great.
go to Dorney. Dorney is definitely on my bucket list.
I'd really
So,
like to get to
I have
Dorney.
no reason to go to Pennsylvania,
The
and it looks okay.
the
Kennywood
video
looks great.
I've
Pictures of that.
seen from Dorney makes it look like the atmosphere is a lot like Cedar Point in terms of the overall park atmosphere. So
yeah,
that's
it
why I'm
kind of
looking
looks
forward
like a
to it.
mini CP.
Yeah. What do I think the next coast should be added, or do? Oh, you think that the next coaster should be added to Silver Dollar City might be a dive coaster? What do I think? I don't know. I feel like dive coaster popularity is kind of dying off. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Valraven," and then no one cares about it anymore. So
Yeah.
I think,
Well, us enthusiasts think that dive coasters are okay, but you gotta remember the GP loathes dive coasters. Think
I mean,
they're great.
dive coasters are just too short.
yeah,
That's
I
the thing
mean,
about them.
yeah, the GP do love them, but I think even the GP have kind of gotten over the novelty of it.
Yeah, it's like the only exciting part is the drop, couple inversions, and it's over in a few seconds.
I mean, Valraven is so dumb because literally their next edition is like, I'm pretty sure about the same height and just as steep of a drop, except the rest of the ride's actually good.
What do you think about, on the subject of dive coasters, what do you think about people saying Canada's Wonderland is going to get a Giga Dive?
Yeah,
Oh, I
so,
question earlier.
I mean, I think it's guaranteed they're getting a B&M dive. I think that's just out of the question now. But Giga Dive, I'm not so sure about. I don't know if they're going to try and
Yeah.
break their own records that they set with Valraven. They might try and break like one, like, oh, I don't know, most inversions on a dive coaster or something like that.
Well,
Like that'd
to
be
be
something easy, but I
fair-
don't think they're going to do height because
Well,
they already have a Giga in the
Maybe
same
length.
park. So why would they add another one?
Yeah, exactly.
In the same sense,
It's
I
not
mean.
like it's CP because I could understand CP getting like multiple hypers, but Canada's Wonderland is more of a smaller park, so
Well, if I'm not mistaken, it does bring in the most crowds in the chain. If
Yeah,
I think I
that's
heard
true.
that. So it makes sense that they're getting something big like this, and it is a GP pleaser for sure.
yeah,
And
I could see a normal dive, but
I think it will
can't
be
really
taller
tell.
than Valraven, but I don't think they're gonna go that tall. How tall is Valraven? Let me look it up.
234 feet.
Yeah, that's kind of a big jump. They're not gonna go Giga,
Yeah.
because I mean, if they didn't have Leviathan, I think they would consider going Giga. But other than that, Costa Rica, to talk to us, there's a link in the video description and the live stream description to Discord. Join that, and then scroll down to the bottom to the thing that says live.
Yeah, there wasn't a layout for the dive coaster. No one really knows if it's a dive coaster or not, but it was leaked by Amusement Insiders, and it looks like it has an out and back layout. But I don't know if that's for a dive coaster or not. 'Cause dive
That's
coasters
pretty
usually
interesting.
don't have it.
That'd be pretty. That'd be really new. Yeah, so Cedar Point in a week and a day. So I will let you know my thoughts on Steel Vengeance then. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It's awesome.
I'll write it 3 weeks after Fury, so at least Fury had a chance to be my number one for a little while.
Yeah.
We had Fastlane Plus, but since it was only running one train, they didn't have it available, so we had to wait 4 hours with one train
Ooh.
operations.
I
And then-
heard that they slowed down the mid-course brake run more.
Yeah, they did, but only when it's hot out. So when the train's actually running faster, they'll slow it down to the speed that it's supposed to go at.
I went like end of May time in the weekend, and they didn't have the mid-course running, but it wasn't
Yeah.
that hot out either.
Yeah.
But it was amazing though.
Well, I mean, a lot of people complain about the mid-course, but I think it's just going to slow it down to what it's
Listen,
supposed to be in the first place.
The only reason the mid-course is there is because Main Street had one.
No, it's there for capacity.
Yeah, so they can run 3
Yeah,
trains.
that too.
And so they can run 3 trains, which they haven't done yet, but
Well, they're doing it now if you look. Could they have
Well,
it back
I
in
know they have the other train. I forget which one.
Blackjack.
Yeah, they have it
I think they have
running, but
blackjack and
they're not
bigger
doing
dog.
they're not doing 3 yet. They're still on 2, which is good. I've heard operations were about 45 minutes as of last Thursday. So
That's
When we
not
go to
that
Cedar
bad.
Point-
for Steel Vengeance.
When we go to Cedar Point, we always buy fast lane because we know it's gonna be packed as heck.
yeah, it always is. I mean, it's uh, not
Yeah, you either do that or you go for like 10 days.
well. I mean, it's all right if you're on a weekday. Having it as my home park, it's pretty nice. It's about 2 hours away, so I will be there for multiple days. It's probably 2 days in a row coming up soon, though. So looking forward to that. Probably spend 1 day marathoning Steel Vengeance.
Recently, like a couple days ago, I went about a week ago actually. I went to Waldemere for the first time.
Oh,
It was pretty good.
how
I
was
got
Ravine Flyer?
6 Ravine Flyer 2. The first two. Here's the thing. It was weird because I got 6 rides total on it, and the first ride, I went in the front. It was great, pretty smooth. The second ride in the back, still pretty smooth, great airtime, great floater airtime actually. And then I went on for the third time, where I was sitting towards the front, but not directly in the front. Oh my God, was it rough? It was rough like an arrow. Well, I can't say like an arrow looper since I've actually never been on an arrow looper, but it was just horrible. And I just had to ride it one more time to see, just to check if it was that seat I picked. So I went on again in the front row. It was pretty rough, but not as bad as that.
Welcome to the
Ravine
stream,
Flyer is
whoever just joined.
Timberliners, right?
No, it has PTC trains.
Oh,
okay.
were you on a wheel seat then?
Yeah, probably.
We're sitting
Um,
third of every car.
Yeah, but it seems like that during the morning it's definitely smoother than later on in the day. That's just what it seemed like for me.
Yeah.
And then
I
I
would-
got a night, well, not really a night ride, but like a close to night ride. I rode it like during sunset before we left because it was a bit of a drive back home, so I didn't want to stay for like the full out night.
Well, you got all
But-
the credits, right? All the
Yeah, I got all
credits.
the credits.
All right, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
A week ago, my friend and I went to Michigan's Adventure. He is a member of the GP, but we went to Michigan Adventure and we went on Shivering Timbers, and I went on it 4 years ago, and this year I went on it. I didn't think the airtime was as good as it was like 4 years ago, and it was like pretty bad. And I don't know, it was like getting
They're
like,
only
rough.
good coasters.
So I
that
think
bad.
it's overrated. It's like
Hmm.
it's underrated, but it's overrated at the same time because it doesn't have as good as airtime as people say it does.
I don't know if Cedar Fair is ever going to give Michigan's Adventure another coaster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of
If they-
sad if you look at Michigan's Adventure because they got a bunch of new coasters and then Cedar Fair bought them, and then about 8 years later they gave them a SLC and they haven't given them anything yet since. So
Yeah.
it's
If you
kind of
look when it
sad.
used to- If you look when it used to be owned by, I forgot who owned it, like the township or some other
Yeah.
guy, before it was owned by Cedar Fair, they installed like a coaster every 3-4 years, like an average park. And
Yeah.
then as Cedar Fair bought it, their latest edition was like Shivering Timbers or something like that. And Cedar Fair bought it in 2000, and they slowed down. And their last coaster was Thunderhawk, and that was an SLC
A
clone.
relocated SLC.
Oh, yeah.
Even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Relocated.
wrote it. It isn't that bad. The restraints have the they don't have like the newer Vekoma restraints, but they have some good padding, so it doesn't hurt when you.
It might not be
Okay.
the worst SLC.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
not the
You know,
worst.
I feel like if Michigan's Adventure's getting another coaster, it's gonna be Stinger from Dorney.
Probably.
the-
Though it did
well, yeah, we
have
don't know.
all those issues, but
What
still,
about
it's-
Knott's Boomerang?
yeah,
That's-
that too? Just some kind of boomerang.
Chinese
Yeah.
park or something.
That's
I
the only
hear.
thing I can
I
see him
feel
getting.
like I
It's,
feel
well,
like
hold on. I want to
honestly-
list off Michigan's
They
Adventure
could
here
get
'cause-
Kanonen. Michigan
Oh
Adventure's
no,
pretty
no,
good.
they wouldn't give him that. No, no way.
It's either going to Dorney or Worlds of Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dorney, I think from what I've seen, it looks like they're getting a GCI. So Kanonen may go to Worlds of Fun or maybe Valley Fair. Valley Fair needs something new.
I mean, did you guys know though? in the year before, right before Cedar Fair bought Mission Ventures, they did sign up to build a 218-foot hypercoaster, but then Cedar Fair bought them, and the plans never went through. But if Cedar Fair hadn't bought them, it had a 218.
It's one of the very few parks that has not benefited from being owned by Cedar Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at this. So, like, look at the dates that these coasters open. They've not had one coaster close, actually, according to RCDB. 1994, they got a new coaster. 1988, they got a new coaster. 1998, they got a new coaster. 1999, they got 2 new coasters. They're a Mad Mouse and a Big Dipper, but still. And in 1979, they got a new coaster. So fairly consistent. I mean, not super regular. Through the 90s, it was pretty regular. And then since then, they got Thunderhawk, which is a relocated SLC in 2008, and they haven't gotten anything since.
They've got stuff to their water park, and they got I think they got like a water rapids ride. But I think the main draw for a lot of people there is the water park, because I've been there, and it's a pretty big water park and pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds like it is a lot of people's draw.
Yeah, I heard one guy say he thinks they might pull a Jagger Lake and abandon the amusement park and keep the water park, and I don't know if that's true.
I don't
I don't know. I mean, as long as it maintains profitability, I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think Cedar Fair wants another PR disaster like Jagger Lake.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do that because of some of the coasters they have, like Shivering Timbers.
Yeah, you can't relocate that to wooden one.
Yeah.
Wooden coasters are pretty hard to relocate.
I mean, they've already gotten some investment in there, like you said with the water rapids ride, stuff like that. That's not cheap. They don't just add that to parks they're planning on closing. So I don't think they'd do a Jagger Lake.
Yeah.
Costa Rica, you download Discord. How do you join? So just scroll down on the left side. You'll see a chat under voice called live. Click on that and you'll be in here. Yeah, so I hope Valley Fair and Worlds of Fun get something soon. I like Cedar Fair adding to these smaller parks. They need to. Cedar Point's got enough now.
Yeah, Worlds of
On running, pretty good.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, for now. I mean,
But I hear some people saying that they're gonna get Cedar Point another coaster, and I'm like, they just got Steel Vengeance. They don't need another coaster.
yeah, they're not getting
they're not
anything
gonna
new for a while.
Excuse me.
Like 2020 or 2021 at
Whenever
Cedar.
their 150 is, that's probably going to be their next
Yeah, I
coaster.
believe that's. Oh, it's
Yeah.
Carowinds. Hold on. Yeah, I think that would be. Yeah, it would be
Well,
2020.
they said the
2020 would be
150th
150th.
2 years. So yeah, 2020 or 2021.
It's 2020. They opened in 1870. So 2020.
No, but they said they're gonna do a 2-year 150 celebration.
Okay. All right. Well, then maybe they will get something next year.
Next year we'll probably just get like a Kittyland package or like a flat ride or something like
Someone
that.
made
Very
a
small.
animation online of expansion to Kitty Kingdom that has like a B&M family invert. That would be awesome. That would be a perfect fit for that area. Like they need something like that.
Family invert.
Now,
Yeah.
now here's
That would be.
Those are things.
That would be.
lot-
That's actually a thing.
That would be
Yeah.
something fun.
Yeah.
There's
A
2
lot
of
of-
those currently built. They're both in China at the moment, but it looks like
I bet
decent
you
little
guys,
rides.
if they do install a B&M family, a lot of GP will get confused between that and Raptor.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
I thought Raptor was over there.
They moved it.
I heard
Bob's
I
Rides.
heard GP say that Maverick was Raptor and that Raptor was Steel Vengeance.
I
What?
feel like people are blind or something. They
Yeah,
can't
well,
see.
I was in Carowinds on the Carolina Sky Tower, and you know how it has the voiceover thing when you're in it, and it says Fury 325, the Carowinds' tallest roller coaster, and you know it goes over all the stats and stuff, and a GP points out the window, it points to Intimidator and says, "Is that one?" Even though they can clearly see the Fury taller right next to it.
I heard a guy one time at Cedar Point say that Gatekeeper, since the wing coaster, can easily fly off the tracks and that there's just a bolt there and the operators can
Wait a minute.
the cars can fly off. Try.
Okay. I looked up the two family inverted coasters. Both are named Family Inverted Coaster. Both are at Happy Valley.
Oh, we'll get to Chinese
What?
names and Chinese roller coasters and stuff on Friday night stream. So be sure to be here for that.
These coasters, I would never ride one. Never. They're covered in rust.
They have the weirdest names, that's for sure.
They do. Well, it's because
I
they
was
translate
at-
weird to English.
Okay, wait, listen to this. I was at Kennywood yesterday, and I was in line for a Phantom Night ride, and there was this kid and her mom, and the kid said, what could happen, as mean like what could go wrong, and the mom said, and here's the thing, the mom said to her kid, lots of things can go wrong. It could get stuck. It could fly off the tracks, and the kid's like, it can fly off the tracks. And the thing that angered me the most about this was it was a mom telling her kid
yeah.
this. Why are you scaring them while they're in line for the thing?
I mean, that's what friends are for. Doing that, not your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad is half GP, like half enthusiast, and 2 years ago, I was still like a little afraid of roller coasters, and he put me in line for Millennium Force, and we're standing there, and then we're on the next train, and my dad's like, okay, you can only die once, and you're probably gonna die because this one doesn't make the clickety-clack noise, and I'm like, that's the anti-roll bank. He's like, I know, so if the lift hill stops, you go flying back in the station and you die.
Well, at least you knew what an anti-rollback was.
He's just trying to scare.
It's not like the GP. They're like, oh, they don't need to have the anti-rollbacks. No, they just do that to scare you.
I actually thought,
Have you heard the GP videos that say that? It was like, what was it? It was some new ride. I think it may have been Wonder Woman, Golden Lasso. There was some GP, like, not news channel, but some dumb YouTube channel, like, going there. They're like, oh, they don't have that clickety-clackety noise just because they need it. It's just there to scare you. That's all it's there for.
Well, Millennium Force, if it went slower, you would actually hear it because it just goes over too quickly to be able to hear it. Because if you look at the track, there are slots for the anti-rollback, but if it were to go like slower, you'd be able to hear it.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna have to wrap up the stream here now. We've got a thunderstorm approaching, so I'm gonna potentially lose internet quality
hold
here.
on.
So you got about
1
2
sec,
minutes
though.
to wrap it up.
All right.
On the speaking about the anti-rollbacks, while I was at Waldemere, I was just sitting down and eating some fries right next to Comet, and I just looked up at Comet, and it was stuck on the anti-rollbacks.
It's so dangerous.
Yes, I actually saw the people evacuate. They had to walk along the catwalks and stuff.
Yeah.
There's gonna be I don't know if it's like an enthusiast, but you guys want to check it out. There's a pepper called the Carolina Reaper, which is the world's highest pepper, and there's gonna be a challenge: eat the Carolina Reaper while riding Carolina Cobra at Carowinds or something like that. And it's like gonna be like this. I don't remember when it's gonna be. Sometime in August.
All right. Well,
That's
that
pretty
is
cool.
seriously a lot of thunder I'm hearing out there. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up before the internet dies and potentially my electricity too. So
Okay.
thank you all for joining me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks for making some conversation, and more videos out soon. Goodbye.